Yo, Dave, snap out of it.
No, Ted, my patron calls.
Well, since Dave is busy, as soon as I can break him out of this, we can discuss the most popular Warlock invocations for D&D 5th edition.
Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds. I'm Nerdarchy Steve, and as usual, I'm joined by this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Those non-D&D videos are keeping you in the dark. Hit that subscribe button and see your way through.
And if it's more Nerdarchy videos you're after, illuminate your way to that notification bell so you don't miss a single video.
Hey, I know those videos only drop Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but that doesn't mean you can't continue to get your Nerdarchy dose over on nerdarchy.com. We generally drop 1 to 2 articles every single day of the week, so you can go over there and read up on some of your favorite concepts for Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games.
All right, so we recently been doing a lot of Warlock talk, and you're like, all right, invocation. So you brought this concept to the table, and figured let's discuss and see our way through it.
All right, so I didn't exactly invent this concept or this use, but we've seen it happen at our table time and time again, and for that reason, it just makes me wonder if the Devil's Sight build is not one of the best invocation builds for a Warlock in 5e D&D.
Being able to see in the dark, like truly see in darkness, is just incredible. And there's so few ways in the game to get access to it. I figured, people dig it. There's a lot of people talking about it. So we figured we'd talk about it and see how we might be able to improve upon it or add some extra flair, if you will.
So, all right. So let's talk about Devil's Sight build, the why and the how. It works. Essentially, it's really easy. Once you get to second level, you can take an invocation as a warlock. That used to be how it went. And you can take Devil's Sight, which basically lets you see out to 120 feet in darkness as if it was regular vision for you, and now also magical darkness as well. So what people would do is they would cast darkness on themselves and use it to conceal where they are and fight from it. People would have a disadvantage to hit them. They have an advantage to hit others, and the darkness doesn't hinder them at all. It can be a little bit of pain in the ass for your allies, but it was kind of an effective strategy.
Indeed.
So, in one of the games we played, and you're playing a shadow sorcerer that gets a similar ability.
Yes.
And I was like, oh man, you totally got to use the darkness thing because it's really cool. It's proven for warlocks. I was playing a Beastmaster Ranger. My beast companion had blind sight. I'm like, oh, this would be a great pairing up for doing that. So as you can see, it's evolved where not just warlocks can do it anymore, but after Tasha's Cauldron and everything, it's even more not just for warlocks anymore.
With the Eldritch Adept feat, you can be able to choose any invocation that you would qualify for. So anything that has a prerequisite level means Warlock level. So those things are off the table. We did a whole video on, the best invocations to take with it. And Devil's Sight wound up being the best. Spoiler alert, sorry. So we figured let's do that video, talk about, this. So now you can get it multi-classing or through Warlock. You can get it through multi-classing with Shadow Sorcerer, or you can just get it via a feat. So the bar is set really low. I mean, literally you could have a human do this at first level.
Yeah, and you know what? There's also a variant of this that you can do. And in some ways the variant is actually better. In other ways it's not as good. But, essentially Tasha's Cauldron and everything introduced the blind fighting style. So now we have a blind fighting style variant, and let's get into the hows and whys of that a little bit.
So the blind fighting style is a fighting style accessible, to the fighter as you would expect, and this allows you to see with 10 feet.
Well, you get blindsight out to 10 feet, right? So you can't actually see per se,
but what's within 10 feet.
Yeah, so obviously this is only going to be particularly effective for a melee combatant. But if you're a fan of R.A. Salvatore and read a lot of the Dark Elf books, then like the favorite tactic of drows is drop the cloud of darkness on themselves, and they train to fight blind and use this tactic. Although in 5e, there's no way of doing it short of being a warlock. And then we got another book. Then you can do it as a sorcerer or a warlock. Then we got another book. And then you can do it as a sorcerer or warlock or anyone that has access to a feat, right? So now, though, you could be a completely martial character. You don't have to take any of that magic nonsense if you don't want to, and stay martial, and you can pull this off. Or you can do, an even better version of this fighting style that Drow would use by having Devil Sight. But I would also say there is some instances where blind fighting is actually superior to Devil Sight.
All right, so how is blind sight better than Devil Sight?
So one of the things that blind fighting would actually allow you to do as well is concealment, right? Because darkness actually gives concealment condition, and then you just can't see what's going around. Blind sight or Devil Sight negates that. Blind fighting, the way it's better is like if you're in a fog cloud spell, or if it's just a natural condition that's occurred, you would be able to. Or if someone actually blinded you, pepper in your eye, a spell, whatever, you would still have access to this. In both of those instances, Devil Sight's not going to help you at all.
Yeah, because you're blind. You would see as normal where your normal is nothing, whereas blind sight is essentially a secondary version of your sight. So eyes open or eyes closed, you can perceive out to 10 feet. Yeah.
Also, I would also say, like, if someone's invisible, Devil Sight's not going to help you with that, and blind fighting does, because you have the blind sight. So there's actually instances where blind fighting is better than Devil Sight. It might be a little bit rare. They might not come up as often, and it's more niche what you can do with that information. But it's still there.
That's crazy. And taking that that concept of somebody who has got blind sight out to a certain radius, and those spells that create obscurement, and there's some of them that actually create obscurement and cause damage. So like you could do a whole build, totally on that style of, all right, I'm gonna drop an AOE and I'm gonna wade in and not care about the damage because I'm resistant or I'm immune or whatever have you.
Yeah, you can kind of level up this concept a little bit. But first of all, there's 4 cloud spells: Fog Cloud, Stinking Cloud, Cloud Kill, and Incendiary Cloud. Stinking Cloud and Cloud Kill are all based off of poison damage, right? Or a poison effect. Well, there's actually a race that's immune to poison damage and poison effects, and that's the Yante. So a Yante that blind fights could literally blind fight within these a Stinking Cloud or a Cloud Kill, and it'd be a deficit to your enemies and an advantage for them.
Yeah, definitely be a really challenging encounter for them to be wading in, and you have no clue where the enemy is until they're right on top of you, and they're immune to the effects that are natural to the condition. Meanwhile, you're suffering not only through their attacks, but through the area of damage as well.
Yeah, and Stinking Cloud, you can do that at 5th level, so it's not super high. And then Cloud Kill is a little bit tougher, 11th level, but it's not out of the range of possibility. We still have one more Cloud spell. This one's going to be really tough because it's an 8th level spell, Incendiary Cloud, and also it does fire damage. But if you combine that with Absorb Elements, you could actually be powering yourself up. You could take half damage, and then you're taking a quarter damage if you actually make your saving throws. Or if you're a race that has fire resistance, there's actually quite a few. You would also mitigate the damage as well. So as long as you're willing to take some damage to do maybe even more damage to your enemies, you might be down with doing that.
And if you wound up finding a legendary item of the Red Dragon Mask and have that fire resistance, it's going to upgrade your resistance to immunity.
Also, if you come upon a Ring of Fire Elemental command, and you do things like if you have that ring and you're attuned to it and you defeat a fire elemental, you get extra bonus abilities. One of them is being immune to fire damage and some other things. But right now we just care about that fire damage immunity, and you could totally use that with the Incendiary Cloud as well. These are both legendary items, But we're talking about an 8th level spell, so I don't think a legendary item is really that far out of the realm of possibility.
So all in all, definitely a fun concept to play around with. Combining several different elements together can create not only a really fun niche, combat, mage character, but from the DM side, you could definitely plan some, super crazy powerful encounters that your players are probably going to be grumbling at you, if not just outright shaking their fist at you for doing this to them.
Absolutely. Hey, if you like this video, take a look at Killer D&D combo, Cloudy with a Chance of Monsters. This video we talked about from the player side mostly. That video is a little bit more from the DM side.
If you like Warlocks and want to make a pact with us, you might want to check us out over on Patreon.
Our Patreon supporters get access to monthly fan games with us, monthly 5e content, and so much more.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.